Maybe not.
No countdown.
We're live.
No countdown is
No
necessary.
countdown necessary. Hit the wrong button. Anyway, I am the Maze Madman. That is Ryan, poor little bro USC for Vel.
Yep.
This is Maze Blue and Gold show. We don't know the number, the episode number. We will find that out so that going forward we can give a number. That said, Ryan, how you feeling?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Want football
Good.
season to be here already.
I hear that. I hear that. It is. It does feel like it's too long, man. Like they don't need rest. Those guys are gone. Get it's new guys there.
Dude,
Bring them
Michigan won
in.
a natty almost 3 months
Right.
ago. That's
We're actually,
crazy.
yeah, national champs, defending national champs. Make sure you get it right. Absolutely, the defending national champs. By the way, I shared a um photo with you today that showed Michigan has the most wins in the history of college football. Also shows that Michigan is tied for the best win percentage in the history of college football. Um, the best program in the history of college football, clearly. Won the most recent national championship. We have gone to the last 3 college football playoffs. I mean, we're pretty dominant. It's a dominant program here, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, but no one will beat UNLV. No one will beat that's a different program there.
UNLV is that was a dominant team last year. Anyway, be sure to hit the like button. We got 2 people in here. We expect 2 likes. 2 likes for 2 people. Be sure to share this on your social media. Yeah, let's grow this thing. Anyway, let's get right to it. Michigan officially names coaches. Officially. Wink Martindale, Greg Scruggs are officially named. Also, Sean McGee, the team GM, official. Mm-hmm. It's official. No question or qualm. I believe. Oh, also, Brian Jean-Marie, the linebacker coach, new Michigan linebacker coach, official. Obviously, Michigan had some not roster, but coaching staff turnover. It's a byproduct of being so successful, is what I like to tell people. You may remember when Nick Saban was rolling in Alabama, it seemed like every year they had new assistant coaches. It's just the way that it is, right? You successful people want coaches from that tree, and Michigan is no exception to that rule. I think Michigan has done a good job with these new hire, Greg Scruggs. A lot of personality, can relate to recruits. Looks like that's a great hire. Wink Martindale is the one that I had the most questions about. Wink is the defensive coordinator, not because I think Wink can't be a great defensive mind. He obviously is. I am just worried about his advanced age and maybe connecting with recruits, but that's why you have all these other guys to do that for you pretty much. Brian Jean-Marie, enough said, his resume precedes him. He is a great recruiter as well. And that's basically what Michigan needs. Sean McGee was hired in a role to basically increase Michigan's recruiting footprint and success. So we'll see how that works out. Ryan, what are your initial thoughts on Michigan's coaching hires and why they hired these people?
After a few strikeouts from Michigan trying to steal our coaches, you guys were coming hard for Chad Bowden. And I know you guys were trying to get Mike Mickey. That's why we had to hurry up and give that man a pay raise.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, I think they're good hires. I think, like I told you before, Michigan, their play on the field is going to take a little bit of a step back this year. But I think your recruiting is going to be better this year than it probably ever was under Harbaugh. Maybe not in terms of like, oh, we're going to be a top 5 class, but you're going to be consistently inside that top 10. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen under Moore. I think Harbaugh, he wasn't like a guy that liked recruiting. I think he was more of a developer Kind of
I
like how
think especially later in his tenure, definitely that wasn't the most fun for him. But what I like again, I always when he first got there, he was getting great recruiting, doing great on the recruiting trail, getting high level recruiting classes. But he focused on what's important, and that's winning. In development, of course,
But I
in
think
Michigan.
more you're
So
gonna
far.
get the nice thing about more is you're gonna get winning with recruiting.
Yeah, I agree. There are 8 people here now. Make sure you hit the like button, share this on social media. Be sure to leave us a comment in the chat what you want to talk about, or if you agree, disagree with anything that we are saying. Let's move on from the coaches. Let's talk about spring football. Spring football and the keys for Michigan, the keys for Notre Dame, what we want to see, what we expect to see. Let's start with you, Ryan. Obviously, you lose your transfer quarterback to the NFL draft. Hopefully, I do think he'll be drafted. Um, Sam Hartman, who also belongs in every Duluth commercial uh, on on Earth, but that's another story. You replace him with another ACC transfer quarterback. This time, Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
Question number one: is Riley Leonard the answer in South Bend? Go ahead.
For this year, yes.
Okay.
CJ Carr is not ready. Kenny Minchie, he's probably the best talent in the best quarterback in that room besides Riley Leonard, just because CJ Carr, he's a true freshman. He's not going to be better than Kenny Minchie right off the bat.
Right.
But for this year, yeah, I think Riley Leonard. I'll be honest. When we first got him, I wasn't too excited about it because he's coming off a severe injury. He was up and down at Duke last year.
Yeah.
But when I was more excited about him coming to South Bend when we got Mike Denbrock.
Yeah.
Mainly because while Riley Leonard is still kind of an unknown commodity, especially coming off an injury, we know what Mike Denbrock is. Everywhere he's went, he's had an explosive offense. And he just had the Heisman Trophy winner, had the #1 offense in college football. So I think he can. If the difference between Riley Leonard and Jane Daniels is Daniels had 2 years under Denbrock, Leonard's only going to have 1. So I think there's a big difference there. But I do think that if Notre Dame was looking to get the most out of Riley Leonard,
Right.
Mike Denbrock was one of the few coaches that you could have hired to do that. And hey, if NFL draft scouts, they're always either wrong or right. They're wrong more times than they are right.
Yeah.
But if you just go off of what people that get paid to, scout NFL talent, they were all drooling all over Riley Leonard just 4 games into last season before his injury. So I think he's got all the intangibles to be great. I think he's just got to put it together.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Riley Leonard. Now, let me say this because I want to be fair too. Riley Leonard, before the injury, was having a good season last year. I think he got hurt in the Notre Dame game, right?
And at the very last play
against Notre Dame, he was injured. I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm obviously not in the know as much with Notre Dame, but it doesn't seem to be as much fanfare around Riley Leonard coming as there was last season with Sam Hartman. Yeah. Sam Hartman, of course, was the ACC all-time leader in passing yards, I believe, touchdowns,
yards,
that. Yeah. So it is a different feel. Riley Leonard's more of an athlete than Sam, who wasn't a horrible athlete, but he's certainly not Riley Leonard in terms of his athleticism. So I think it'll be interesting, obviously. And here's the great part for Notre Dame fans. I pulled up your schedule here. It's not a lot of losses, at least on paper, on this schedule. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we only play 3 ranked teams as of right now, based off of the preseason poll that ESPN put out.
Those are Louisville,
And
Florida State and Texas A&M in week 1. Although I believe they just ranked Texas A&M to give you guys
yeah,
a ranked
they're
opponent,
gonna want to
another
do that
ranked
just to give
opponent.
Notre Dame a ranked win week
Yeah,
1. But no, and what's sad is Florida State is the highest ranked team on that schedule, and they're 15.
yeah,
So we don't play a single top 10 team this year, which makes it even more vital that you make a playoff this year if you're Marcus Freeman.
and that makes every game more vital for you guys too.
Yep.
This year though, we do have the 12-team playoff. First year of the 12-team playoff, so maybe there's some wiggle room for an 11-1
I've heard people
Notre
say
Dame.
Notre Dame at 10-2 can get in.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't
like
know.
last year, because Notre Dame played 6 ranked opponents,
Yeah,
I think you would have an argument there. But this year, with how easy that schedule is, if you go 10-2, in my opinion, you have no business being in the playoff.
right.
So that's where I think the pressure's on Freeman this year to get that playoff.
Yeah,
Like I said, barring any significant injury, like if Riley Leonard, knock on one, goes out there week 1, tears his ACL against A&M, then you gotta kind of give Marcus Freeman a little bit of a break there. But barring anything like that, this team is good enough to go 12-0 in the schedule.
yeah. Want to ask everybody watching right now what you think Notre Dame's record will be. Again, 3 ranked opponents: Louisville, Texas A&M. They start the season with Texas A&M at Texas A&M, and then Florida State. Those are the 3 ranked opponents they have on this schedule. It's not very tough. I'm gonna be real. And this was a fan base that was giving Michigan a lot of flack last season for its schedule. I don't want to hear it. This is laughable. But what do you think their record will be? We will present that to the chat. Let us know in the chat. Anyway, let's move on to the spring football keys. Like, what do you want to see out of Notre Dame in spring football?
Receiver play. That's the thing. That's the main thing that kept Notre Dame out of the playoff this year and cost them against Ohio State, cost them against Clemson, cost them against Louisville. We didn't have anybody to throw the ball to. And when that happens, your quarterback tends to get killed in the pocket a lot because he's looking for guys that just aren't open. This year, we brought in 3 transfer receivers. We brought in Bo Collins, who was a former top 50 recruit in the 2021 class from Clemson. He was their number 1 receiver, so we got him in. We brought in Chris Mitchell, who had 1,000 yards at FIU this past year. He's kind of that burner, Tyreek Hill type guy. So I'm expecting him to kind of get some starting time there. And we brought in a guy from Marshall, who's mainly just going to be like a punt return specialist. He had 3 kickoff return touchdowns last year for Marshall. So other than that, you got Jordan Faison coming back, who was arguably our best receiver, which is sad because he was a walk-on. And then you have Jaden Greathouse, who I think personally is our best receiver in terms of talent. He was injured so much last year with a hamstring injury. And then you got 5-star Cam Williams coming in, who is the highest ranked receiver Notre Dame's gotten since Golden Tate, all the way back in 2007. So the expectations for him are going to be high. I don't know if he gets a lot of playing time because of the guys ahead of him. But yeah, I want to see us actually have an explosive receiving core this year. Notre Dame hasn't had that for a very long time.
Okay. I'll go ahead and give my keys for Michigan. I think obviously we need a quarterback. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be. There's some Jaden Denegal. There's some Alex Orji. We know for a fact that Jaden Davis will not be the quarterback. He is expected to redshirt this first year, which I am a fan of personally. I know you are in a similar situation with CJ Carr, who is expected. Also, is he going to redshirt or just?
He'll probably redshirt, I'd imagine.
So similar situation there, but also Tuttle is there, so there's that. But I also am looking at the spring portal. If a quarterback becomes available in the spring portal, I expect Michigan maybe to be players unless one of these guys, Orgy or Denegal, just jump off the page in spring ball. So that is priority number one. We are losing, obviously, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in all of college football from a year ago, JJ McCarthy. He wasn't asked to throw it a whole bunch, but when he did, he was very effective, especially on third and fourth downs. He was amazing in those clutch moments. And hopefully we can get somebody in that vein that can deliver in the clutch. So that's what I'm looking most forward to in spring ball, is identifying a starting quarterback. I hope it is one of those guys. I hope it is Denegal or Orgy or even Tuttle. You know what I mean? If we can get it
Mhm.
off the current roster, that'd be great. I don't expect it to be Tuttle, just because the other guys just have so many of the intangibles, right? Alex
Tuttle
Orgy's,
was from Indiana, right?
yes,
Originally. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, and he started at Indiana for a while there, so he's got some experience for sure. But like I said, the intangibles of the other guys. Alex Orgy is a great athlete. Obviously, he has probably the most arm strength. Accuracy is another thing. Denegal, though, showed me the most last season in terms of his pocket presence and delivering the football from the pocket. He looked to be very accurate. He threw some tough passes, even. I think it's a game against Nebraska. I believe he threw a touchdown that wasn't necessarily just wide open. He really had to fit a ball in. So that's impressive to me. And he is an adequate athlete. He can move. He's very big. The same goes for Orgy. So there's that.
What
That's
do
what I
you think
expect.
of? Because I almost think JJ kind of screwed. Well, not just JJ, but JJ and Jim kind of screwed you guys in terms of the quarterback situation. Because there was a couple guys in the portal that I think would have done really well at Michigan. Jordan McLeod from JMU. I just don't understand why that guy got no interest from
Mm,
FBS schools, because that guy was electric. And then you got Keaton Salter, who just led the best group of 5 team in the country in Liberty, and was a Maxwell finalist. He's
yeah.
returning to Liberty because he didn't want to, he didn't have any place to go, so he just kind of came back to Liberty. He could enter the portal again. Do any of those guys, do those guys entice you, or would you rather stick with what you got?
Um, man, that's a great question. I think both of those guys are very talented. I will say that. Um, I think Salters is a little more intriguing for me.
Mm.
Um, and if he became available and was willing to be a part of like a quarterback battle, then I'm with that. I don't think that we should get him and just hand him the keys, though. It's not
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
Riley Leonard or Sam Hartman, or it's not a situation like that. It's not a Dylan Gabriel situation where he's going to be the starter off the strength of his resume or whatever. Although he has a decent resume, I'm not taking anything away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys were, you know, Division One FBS recruited quarterbacks, right? They've been on the
McLeod
roster
was
now for
McLeod was
3
originally
years.
an Arkansas commit, and then
Right.
was it Salter was originally committed to Auburn.
Yeah.
So they've played big boy college football before.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I think, like I said, I agree. I think Salter in Michigan's offense, especially, JJ was mobile, but
Mhm.
Salter is just more mobile. Uh, I think he'd be electric in your guys' offense.
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility. I'm not opposed to it. I do think it should be a competition though.
Yeah.
Um Speaking of Michigan starting quarterback job, who do you think wins that job? Let us know in the comment section who you think comes out on top. I'm going to go ahead and go a little left field or a little off what the sentiment is. The popular sentiment is Alex Orgy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Alex Orgy. He's built like a freight train. You saw the pictures before the Rose Bowl uh, that I was like promoting. Like this guy's really like he looks the part in terms of like a dual threat quarterback. But I think Jaden Denegal, like I said, what I saw from him from the pocket and his ability to get out of the pocket if need be, it's like that perfect or better blend of pocket quarterback with
Yeah.
the ability to with the escapability rather. So I think that works a little better. JJ was pretty much that. Um, he could run, but it was more like, I mean, he handed it off a heck of a lot. Let's not,
Yeah.
get that twisted. But when he did throw, he was an effective quarterback, an effective pocket quarterback. And now he's going to be a first round pick. It looks like top 10 to those Denver Broncos.
No, please. Dude, I told you if we draft JJ McCarthy, I will legit stop being a Broncos fan. I will
You have
get
to
rid of all
stop.
my Broncos stuff.
I don't know why
I
you would
will.
do that. JJ McCarthy has done nothing but win.
I hope he gets used to Sean Payton berating him on the sidelines every time he
Yeah,
messes
that
up.
guy is crazy. You are rid of Russell
Wilson.
Wilson.
The ride is finally over.
Man, I'm not sure I would have done that. 85 million in dead
Yep.
cap.
We're ripping the Band-Aid off. Just rip it off.
I don't know what would be like. Why wouldn't you just keep him on the roster, pay him his salary, which would have been half of 85, not even half of 85 million. Still, you can still draft the quarterback.
I think the thing is that you can't bring that back into the locker room because ever since he got benched, Russell Wilson, good guy Russell Wilson, and air quotes, good guy Russell Wilson,
He's a good
doing
guy.
all these different podcasts and saying, man, I love Denver. I'd love to come back, even though they benched me for 2 games and tried to get me to get stuff out of my contract.
Right.
That I know that everybody knows you're salty about.
Well, I would be too.
No, I know. And then now Cortland Sutton is mad because he was best friends with Russell Wilson, and
see,
he wants out.
See what happened?
It's like you can't bring that back into the locker room.
Yeah,
especially if I'm paying you $30 million to ride the bench.
I get it. I get it. All right, let's move forward a little bit. Let's talk about this prospect. I brought him up. Ryan said they're gonna have him on campus for a visit. Zach Fort, number 2 safety in all of high school football right now, coming in the 2025 class. Right now, according to On3's recruiting prediction machine, Michigan is in the lead for him. But the scrappy redheads in South Bend are trying to do their best to change that. What do you think, Ryan?
I like the we haven't offered him yet, so looks like he'll get offered on Pot of Gold Day.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think we're gonna offer him. Obviously, he's an elite prospect. I like that he's coming for a visit. I just, as a Notre Dame fan, we don't get too many kids from IMG. A lot of those kids look to go to the SEC
or Michigan,
or Michigan or Ohio State. I think they said Notre Dame has pulled 1 kid from IMG Academy in the last 15 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he was a walk-on, by the way. So we didn't even get really a commit. It was a walk.
Right.
Hopefully that changes. We got 2 guys from IMG that we're looking at in Owusu Boateng, who's the younger brother of JOK, and then Vines Bright, who's an elite level receiver. But yeah, Fort, like I said, I like that he's coming for a visit. Would be huge if we could get him, but I just don't see it. But hey, why wouldn't he want to come to Safety University? We got Kyle Hamilton, Harrison Smith
University,
Kyle Hamilton, and now Xavier Watts. Safety University right there.
That's wild, actually. Safety University. Just so people can get a look, we'll share Zach Fort here. Oh man,
so you got Alabama and Florida State. That's great.
Alabama, Florida State, USC is in there. But He knows where home is.
Though we all
Right
know where
here,
he's not going
Michigan.
on that list,
Anyway,
right?
this guy's a 4-star.
We know where he's not going, right,
Wait,
Phil?
where's he not going?
USC.
USC.
Kids don't go there to play
Portland.
defense.
I know that's right. Anyway, by the way, USC. Oh man, we've got them in the Big Ten. It's gonna be great. 5'10", 170-pounder out of IMG Academy in Florida. 4-star consensus 4-star pretty much on every recruiting service except ESPN, who's not really a recruiting service, but they throw their hat in there, I guess, and try it. Whatever. He's the
Well, he's
number
basically
2.
a 5-star. Basically a 5-star.
Absolutely. I'm sure this will be a 5-star when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Number 2 prospect in the state of Florida. That's huge because
Mhm.
Florida produces a lot of talent. This guy being the number 2 prospect in that state is pretty impressive. But we move on. Ryan, before we get out of here, actually, we got some time.
Yeah.
It's not been too long. What else did you want to discuss about?
We got to bring up Stephen A. Smith and Paul Feinbaum and the blasphemy that they were spewing all over social media about how
Is Notre Dame relevant?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Now, all right. So, just for some background, Stephen A. Smith brought up a point where he says, why are they even talking about Notre Dame in terms of the college football playoff, I think it was, and Notre Dame's ability to get into that playoff. Apparently, Notre Dame could be the number 1 team in the nation. They could be undefeated, number 1 team in the nation, but still would not receive one of those 4 coveted buys. Instead, they would have to play a first-round playoff game because they don't play a conference championship. First, let's get your thoughts on that. Why do you think that that's fair? And why or why not?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Most Notre Dame fans are completely fine with that. The thing and the narrative that pisses us off is that they make it seem like, oh, well, why do we care if this affects Notre Dame? Like they were saying, like Paul Feinbaum was acting like Notre Dame fans were complaining about this when our AD was the one that agreed to this.
Mm-hmm.
We're completely fine with it. I don't think that the buy is as big of a deal as people make it out to seem like on the outside, because Notre Dame, technically, it's a bye week anyway. We don't have to play conference championship week. For any team to get those top 4 buys, they have to play an extra game.
Yeah.
So it kind of cancels itself out. I get that, like, hey, the bye weeks are technically at different times, and it's not like you got to play the playoff game the next week. But I almost would rather host a first-round playoff game than get a bye week and play in a neutral site. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I found interesting about it is that those teams that get a bye week, they don't get a home playoff game.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just the bowl games, the NY6,
right.
I believe, yeah.
The bowl games start and you play a bowl game in essence. But those teams that do play that first round, the higher seeded team gets another home game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in essence, especially like let's just take Notre Dame for instance, they go undefeated. They're number 1 team in the nation, but they're the 5th seed in the playoff because of the way the buys break down. They would play a home game against whoever the 12th seeded team is, I'm supposing.
It'd be a group of 5, most likely, I'd imagine.
Probably. And now, yeah, okay, they play a home game, which is more revenue to the school, right? Without splitting anything. Not that Notre Dame splits anything anyway with the conference, but that's awesome to me. That sounds advantageous. And this is one way, like, okay, let me get your thoughts on this in the chat. Give us your thoughts on this too. Does it diminish the importance of like regular season rivalry games? And I bring that up specifically with Ohio State, Michigan in mind
Mhm.
because there is a potential that those schools could play 3 times. I understand that it is rare. It would be a rarity for it to happen, but they could literally play the game. Both teams could go into the game undefeated. The
Mhm.
loser, obviously, it doesn't matter if the loser or winner, or because then the next week they could play in the Big Ten championship. Of course, if there's not another one-loss team or whatever, they could play in the Big Ten championship against each other. They could swap victories there, right? And then go into the college football playoff, meet again at some point in that playoff for the third time, or maybe even the championship. Does that diminish the regular season game, Ryan?
I don't. I don't think it diminishes like the hatred that both teams will have for each other,
Right.
but I think it diminishes like we see it in other sports like the NBA, NFL. Um, if we got a spot locked in, why are we playing our starters?
Right.
We're not gonna. I mean, we've seen it kind of in college football too. I mean, what Notre Dame in 2020 when we played Clemson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still think we would have lost to Clemson, but the way that we came out against Clemson in the ACC title, I think we came out playing like that because it was, hey, we had already beat Clemson. Everyone said even if we lose this ACC title game, we're in the playoff no matter what. So, we're not going to give as much effort as the other team is because Clemson needed that game to get in.
Right.
I can see that. And also
Or
you're dealing with 18 and 22-year-old kids.
right.
It's not like these guys are professional athletes and I'm not saying they won't, but when you're in that mindset, you take a lot of things for granted. You're like, hey, we already beat Ohio State in the regular season. We play them in the Big Ten title game. We don't need this game, guys.
Right.
Like we don't need it.
Also, what and hear me out here. What if you want to play a home playoff game? Right?
Yeah.
You are undefeated. You win that game. You win the final. You win the regular season finale. You go to the Big Ten championship. Lose, right? Maybe on purpose, or like you said, let's put in our second, third string players to play this game. Let's because football is a game of attrition too. Injuries happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put in some backup players to play this game, and then now let's say you lose that game after you won the previous week. Now you're probably, or you are, in essence, playing a first round playoff game.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the 5 seed, because you're most likely the 12 seed is going to be a group of 5 team. We've seen it happen, with UCF and Cincinnati, but 9 times out of 10, most of the teams that are elite are going to view that as a bye week anyway because you're playing a group of 5 team. We saw what Oregon did to Liberty, which would have been the 12 seed this year, completely obliterated them. So, yeah, I think we'll see that. I don't know if we'll see like what we see in the NFL where like Patrick Mahomes is sitting,
Right.
Tyreek Hill's going to sit, Lamar Jackson's not going to play. We're benching our entire starting unit. You're going to put our second and third. I don't know if we'll see that, because I think college football you can't take games for granted like you can in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll see that for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I definitely think that will be the case at some point. Anyway, guys, we've reached this time at the end of the show. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that,
I
let's talk
want to
about the
talk about the
relevancy.
relevancies. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The relevancy of Notre Dame or the irrelevance. Let us know what you think about, is Notre Dame relevant? And if not, why not? But go ahead, Ryan.
No, Phil, I want to get your thing first, Phil, because like when you saw the clip of Stephen A. Smith and Paul
Mhm.
Feinbaum saying the stuff,
Yeah.
did you agree? How do
So
you view it?
so here's the thing. I thought they made points, right? I
Mhm.
disagree. Let me first say this. Is Notre Dame is relevant.
Yeah.
All right. Did they make points, overarching point that Notre Dame is irrelevant? Yes, I thought they made some of those points were valid, right? Haven't won a national championship since 1988. They have been to 2 playoff games. Both times they got smoked. They, he, you were in a BCS national championship game. Before that, got smoked, right? So I did see like where the point they were trying to make, but you also have to take into account before Kirby Smart got to Georgia. Georgia was a good team, right? Under Frank Wright. They
You could
were
argue they were Notre Dame before Notre Dame.
Exactly, because they hadn't won a national championship
since
in a very long time. Yeah,
it was before Notre Dame. I think the last one they won
86 or something like that.
86 or 87,
something like that, right? So they hadn't won a national championship in a very long time. So it's these things work that way where everybody, you don't win the national championship every year. Michigan before last year hadn't won the national championship since 97. So it sometimes plays out that way. The other state, they talk a lot, but they haven't won a national championship in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Have they even won a they've won a playoff game? Yeah, they won one playoff.
Yeah, they won a playoff game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But they do a lot of talking. They're everywhere talking. But win a natty.
It's been 10 years or
it's great to be able to say that, by the way.
Been almost 11 years since Ohio State's national championship.
Yeah. They're a vile, disgusting cesspool of a fan base and a football team. But yeah. So yes, my thoughts on it are Notre Dame is relevant for, they've got history that suggests
the brand. I think the brand
they got a brand, right? And that's the other thing. They are like the number 2. They got the number 2 fan base in all of college football. The brand is international, right? It's not just, Northwest Indiana or anything like that, right? It is an international brand, so I got to give them credit for that. Rudy is a thing in sports.
Hey, no other football team. Lore. No other collegiate football team has a movie.
Rudy was offsides, by the way. And you're wrong again because Marshall has a
yeah. But that's more of like a sad movie.
Hey, I'm just here to spit the facts. And Marshall also beat Notre Dame, but that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
So when you guys sent that in the group chat, the clip of Stephen A. Smith, first of all, most of us that are not rednecks or from the SEC country do not take anything that Paul Feinbaum says in the college football community seriously, because we know where his prerogatives lay. We know where his loyalty is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not even going to mention Fall because he knows nothing about college football unless it has to do with Alabama. But Stephen A. Smith, like I used to love Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Now he just says stuff just to say stuff. And he thinks the louder he yells, the more right he that makes him. Well, this is why Stephen A. Smith doesn't ever talk about college sports, or he rarely does.
Yeah.
Because he has no knowledge about it. Notre Dame, to me, will always be relevant. I don't care if we go 0-12 for the next 20 years. Notre Dame will still be talked about. Our fan base will still be there. They will still have a recognizable brand. That's where like Notre Dame haters or trolls, I like to call it, always bring up online, Notre Dame's irrelevant. I had USC fans saying we were irrelevant. And I said, dude, if we're irrelevant, what does that make you when we beat you guys 48-20 and you guys are 4-12 against us since Pete Carroll left?
Wow.
Like, speak of irrelevancy. But anyway, no, Like, and the thing is, like, yeah, we've gotten smoked. But the thing that annoys me the most when people be like, yeah, you guys got killed when you made the playoff is we played 2018 Clemson, 2020 Bama.
Yeah.
Those teams, outside of one or two games in those particular seasons, absolutely smoked everybody they played. I think Clemson, they beat us by 28. They went on to beat Alabama, or it was Ohio State, one of the two in the Natty, by 30.
Yeah.
Okay. Alabama beats us by 17. They go on to play Ohio State in the Natty and beat them by like damn near almost 30 points.
Yeah.
But people only say, well, see, Notre Dame got blown out. So that just means that they just suck. But Ohio State can get shut out in a playoff game, and their fans still talk like they've won 12 natties in a row. You know what I mean? That's what annoys me is like.
By the way,
yeah.
Although Oregon has Oregon made a playoff? Oregon was in the first playoff.
They made one playoff and won one.
They were in
playoff.
the first ever playoff. But okay, so now Oregon is included because in Washington, damn it, Washington too now. But before those four teams joined the Big Ten, there were three teams that made the college football playoff.
Michigan State,
the other state, and Michigan. And only one of those teams has not been goose egged in a playoff game. And that's Michigan. But
yeah, hey, we can say
poor little bro no.
Notre Dame and Michigan have never been shut out in a playoff game.
Right.
Never. That's only for little bro no.
It's only for little bro no. And at this point, the other state is little bro them too. It's crazy, man. We got two little bros that want to get on our level. It's disgusting. It's really.
I do want to get your, because I need a PSA.
Yeah.
For USC fans, because I'm sure you've seen it all over Big Ten Twitter. USC fans are talking tons of stuff right now.
They're talking tons of stuff to a lot of people. They got Ohio State fans upset. Everybody's upset.
They called Ohio State and Michigan irrelevant, and y'all just won a national title.
USC did that?
Yeah. Like Arrogant Nation. He's a big. He's got like 10,000 followers. He's a big USC account. He made a post called "Michigan and Ohio State irrelevant."
Yeah, that guy. We need to check his meds. He's off his meds. Like,
and I said, and I
need to change the dosage.
He was going after Cleveland Mike in a post, and I retweeted and I said, "I got your back, Cleveland Mike," and I just posted a picture of Xavier Watts, stiff arming Caleb Williams for a pick 6.
Wow.
And I'm like, you need to beat us first. Like, you got to beat Notre Dame first before you start talking about the big boys. Like, there's levels to this.
Here's the thing, man. They're gonna
get murdered.
They got to come to the big house this year. I don't think they don't play Ohio State this year, so they lucked up with that. Yeah. But they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose to Oregon. They're gonna lose to us. I think they play. Do they play Penn State?
Yeah,
if they do, they're gonna lose that game.
Please tell me they play Iowa. I need to see that matchup. No offense versus no defense. That.
Oh, hilarious.
We'll see Iowa win like, I don't know, like 14 to 12 or something.
Actually get USC's schedule. Because I'm pretty sure like they're gonna get smacked all over the place.
They're not built like a Big Ten team. Like we saw what happened to Washington when they played Michigan. Their USC they're soft. Like people give crap for like Ohio State being soft under Ryan Day.
Well, they are.
USC is a completely different type of soft. Like
all right, so look at this. They do have Penn State. They do get Penn State at home. That's good. They play Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's going to be better this year. Rutgers, watch that Rutgers game. If they lose to Rutgers, which I am going to go ahead and say they are going to lose that game. Rutgers is a team on the come up. They're gonna lose to LSU out the gate. Let's get that.
They're gonna get blown out by LSU.
They're gonna get destroyed that game. Utah State might give them a little more run than they expect. They're gonna get destroyed at the Big House. Wisconsin has the ability to beat them. They probably won't though.
They get a bye week, week 3. Yeah. What is this schedule?
Well, it's a lot of early buys actually, and I think every Big Ten team gets 2 buys now. Which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. But yeah, so they're gonna lose a lot of games.
I could see them struggling with at Minnesota. Like,
yeah, I mean that's not nobody wants to go to Minnesota.
They got to play Maryland. Like that's a sneaky
at Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this isn't a great schedule for them.
Yeah,
it's not.
If they lose to Rutgers?
They got Nebraska after Washington. Hold on, let me get to that.
Bro, if they lose to Rutgers, USC is just not a serious program anymore.
No, they're gonna lose that game. I'm going on record saying that that's gonna be a loss for USC.
Phil's gonna put his money on that right now.
I am. Yeah, and then they end it with Notre Dame. That's another loss. I'm giving them 1, 2. I'm not gonna necessarily count this one as a loss. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Sorry. 3, 4, 5 losses minimum. And they could lose this game. Well, actually, no, I don't think Maryland's going to be that great this year. They could lose this game. They could lose Minnesota.
They could lose to Washington.
And they could lose to Nebraska. I think Washington's in a rebuild. But I do. They brought some talent over. Yeah.
Dude, if Lincoln Riley goes 6-6, does he get fired? Like this is a real.
No, I don't think he's getting fired. I don't think he's really. I do think he's leaving though.
He's gonna go be the wherever Caleb Williams goes. He's gonna go be the Bears head coach.
Right. I do think he will be leaving. I don't think he'll get fired this year though. But they kind of need his cachet as they enter, this new conference. So
they went 7-5 in the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah,
and the Big Ten is not good.
We'll see. I'm gonna get on Twitter and troll some USC.
You need to, man, because the stuff they are talking is going unchecked.
That's crazy. But yeah, man. Until next time. Follow me everywhere at Maze Madman. Follow Ryan over here.
Yep. Go follow me at @Fravel_Ryan on Twitter.
Be sure to subscribe to the Week 0 channel if you haven't already. And until next time.